The rehearsal dinner fell silent the moment she walked in. Not the good kind of silence. The shocked, uncomfortable kind where everyone stops mid-sentence and stares. My stepsister Marissa entered the restaurant like she was walking down an aisle. Her chin was up, her shoulders back, and her smile was wide and triumphant. She wore a flowing white gown with delicate lace sleeves, a sweetheart neckline, and a cathedral-length veil trailing behind her. My wedding dress. An exact replica. Heads turned. My fiancé Noah's jaw literally dropped. My bridesmaids gasped loud enough that people 3 tables over looked up from their salads. My maid of honor, Casey, grabbed my arm so hard I thought she might leave bruises. But I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't make a scene. I just smiled. Took a sip of my champagne. And whispered to Casey, let her have tonight. Because Marissa had no idea what was coming tomorrow. She thought she'd stolen my thunder, ruined my moment, claimed the spotlight she'd always believed should be hers. But she'd actually just walked straight into the most satisfying trap I'd ever set. And the photographers she'd hired to capture her grand entrance were about to document her worst humiliation instead. My name is Lena. I'm 27 years old, and until yesterday, I thought I was having a drama-free wedding. I'm a pediatric nurse. I work long shifts at Children's Hospital. I'm the quiet type. The peacekeeper. The one who'd rather avoid conflict than create it. I planned a simple, elegant wedding. Small guest list. Tasteful decorations. Nothing over the top. But with Marissa in the picture, drama-free was never going to happen. If you've ever had someone try to hijack your special moment, drop a comment below. Tell us where you're watching from. Because what I'm about to tell you is proof that the best revenge isn't loud or messy. It's calculated, classy, and absolutely unforgettable. And Marissa was about to learn that the hard way. My father married Marissa's mother when I was 15 and she was 16. It was one of those whirlwind romances that everyone except me thought was beautiful and romantic. Dad had been widowed for 3 years after my mom passed from cancer. He met Karen at a hospital fundraiser. 6 months later, they were engaged. For months after that, I had a stepsister. Marissa was everything I wasn't. Loud where I was quiet. Blonde where I was brunette. Obsessed with appearances and status and being the center of attention. She treated life like a competition she was determined to win. In high school, if I made honor roll, she'd claim she was top of her class even though she wasn't. When I got into nursing school, she suddenly announced she was pre-med, which lasted exactly 1 semester before she switched to communications and eventually dropped out entirely. When I got my first nursing job, she copied my resume almost word for word and applied to positions she was wildly unqualified for, then blamed me when she didn't get hired. Everything was a contest. Every achievement I earned, she tried to either match or overshadow. And our parents, especially Karen, always made excuses for her. She's just passionate. She looks up to you. You're being too sensitive. But this? Wearing a replica of my wedding dress to my rehearsal dinner? This was a new level of audacity even for Marissa. 6 weeks before the wedding, I got a strange phone call from the bridal boutique where I'd bought my dress. Hi Lena, this is Amanda from Bella Spasa. I'm just calling to confirm your final fitting next week and also to follow up about the second dress. I was at work, reviewing patient charts. What second dress? The replica your sister ordered. She picked it up yesterday. I wanted to make sure everything was correct since we used your measurements and design. My blood went cold. My sister ordered what? The exact same dress you purchased. She said it was for a themed photo shoot for your bachelorette party. A surprise. She paid rush fees to have it ready in time. I forced my voice to stay steady. Right. Of course. Thank you for letting me know. I hung up and stared at my phone for a full minute. Marissa had ordered a copy of my wedding dress. Using my measurements. 6 weeks before my wedding. This wasn't about a photo shoot. This was about upstaging me. Again. Casey found me in the break room 20 minutes later, staring at the wall. What's wrong? I told her everything. She went from concerned to furious in about 10 seconds. She did what? That's insane. You have to tell your dad. You have to uninvite her. But I already knew that wouldn't work. Dad would minimize it. Karen would defend Marissa. They'd tell me I was overreacting, being dramatic, ruining the family peace over nothing. So instead, I smiled. Maybe it's for a themed photo shoot, like she said. Casey looked at me like I'd lost my mind. You don't actually believe that? No. But I'm going to pretend I do. Because I already had a better plan forming in my head. I told my father about Marissa's dress the next Sunday at family dinner. Casual. Light. Like it was barely worth mentioning. Hey Dad, did you know Marissa ordered a copy of my wedding dress? He barely looked up from his steak. She mentioned something about that. Said it was for photos or something. Pretty harmless, right? Karen jumped in immediately. She just wants to feel included in your special day, Lena. You know how much she admires you. I bit my tongue. Admires. Right. Noah, sitting beside me, went tense. I felt his hand tighten on his fork. It just seems a little strange, I said carefully. That she'd need an exact replica. You're overthinking it, Dad said. Marissa wouldn't do anything to take attention away from you. She's excited for you. Karen nodded enthusiastically. She's been nothing but supportive. Haven't you noticed how much she's helped with planning? Helped with planning. She'd shown up to exactly one planning session, spent the whole time taking selfies, and left early to meet friends. But I just smiled. You're probably right. I'm sure it's nothing. In the car, Noah exploded. Nothing? She ordered a copy of your wedding dress. I know. And your dad just brushed it off like you were being ridiculous. I know. So what are we going to do? I looked at him. We're going to let her play dress up. And then we're going to outclass her so completely she'll never try this again. He stared at me for a long moment. Then slowly smiled. Okay. What's the plan? I called my wedding planner, Monica, the next morning. I need to make a change to the dress code. Okay, what kind of change? I want all the guests to wear white. Ivory, cream, pearl, champagne. Any shade of white. Everyone except the bridal party. There was a pause. That's unusual. Most brides ask guests not to wear white. I know. But trust me on this. Can we make it happen? Of course. I'll send out an updated notice this week. Should I include a reason? Just say the bride requests it as part of the wedding's aesthetic vision. Another pause. Lena, is this about your stepsister? Monica had been at the dress fitting when Amanda mentioned the replica. She knew. Yes. I love it. Consider it done. The update went out 3 days later. Elegant. Simple. The bride requests all guests wear white or ivory to complement the wedding's aesthetic. The bridal party will be in coordinating colors. Most people responded enthusiastically. A few asked questions, which Monica handled perfectly. It's a modern twist. Very editorial. Marissa didn't say a word. Which meant she either didn't read the update or thought it didn't apply to her. Either way, she was walking straight into exactly what I'd planned. I went back to the bridal boutique alone. Amanda greeted me with a knowing smile. How can I help you? I need a new dress. Her eyes widened. A different dress? For the wedding? Yes. Something completely different from what I ordered. Something Marissa hasn't seen. She grinned. I have just the thing. She brought out a gown I'd seen on my first visit but dismissed as too dramatic. It was midnight navy silk with a fitted bodice covered in Swarovski crystals. The skirt flowed like water, and the cathedral train was embroidered with silver thread that caught the light with every movement. It was stunning. Bold. Nothing like my original dress. I tried it on and barely recognized myself. I looked powerful. Confident. Like someone you couldn't overshadow even if you tried. I'll take it. What about the other dress? Keep it. Donate it. Whatever you want. I don't need it anymore. Amanda packaged the new dress personally. As I was leaving, she said, I don't know what you're planning, but I hope someone films it. I smiled. Oh, they will. I told my bridesmaids about the change at our final planning brunch. Casey, my sister Emma, and my 2 college friends, Jules and Priya. So I'm not wearing the original dress, I said casually, sipping mimosa. 4 pairs of eyes stared at me. What? Casey said. I bought a new one. Navy. Completely different style. Because of Marissa, Emma said. It wasn't a question. Because I wanted something that felt more like me. Jules leaned forward. What's Marissa going to do when she shows up in your old dress and you're wearing something completely different? I guess we'll find out. Priya grinned. This is diabolical. I love it. I updated their dress orders too. They'd be wearing deep jewel tones. Emerald, sapphire, burgundy, amethyst. Rich, elegant colors that would stand out beautifully against the sea of white I'd asked the guests to wear. Everything was falling into place. I just had to wait for the rehearsal dinner to see if Marissa would actually go through with wearing the replica. Spoiler alert, she absolutely did. The rehearsal dinner was at an upscale Italian restaurant my parents had rented out. 50 people. Immediate family, wedding party, and a few close family friends. I wore a simple blush dress. Noah wore a dark suit. My bridesmaids looked beautiful. Everything was perfect. Until Marissa walked in. She'd timed her entrance carefully. Waited until everyone was seated, drinks were flowing, conversations were happening. Then she appeared in the doorway like she was making some grand reveal. The white dress. The veil. The works. The room went silent. You could have heard a pin drop. She walked through the restaurant slowly, deliberately, making sure everyone saw her. She'd even hired a photographer. Some guy with a professional camera who followed her, snapping shots of her grand entrance. She stopped at our table. Smiled down at me with fake sweetness. I hope you don't mind. I just felt so inspired by your dress choice. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, right? Everyone was staring. Waiting to see what I'd do. I smiled back. Stood up. And hugged her. Bold choice, Marissa. Really bold. Her smile faltered slightly. She'd expected tears. Drama. A scene. Not a hug. You look beautiful, I added, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. She blinked, clearly confused. Thank you. Of course. Enjoy the evening. I sat back down. Picked up my wine glass. Took a sip. Casey leaned over and whispered, "What are you doing?" Letting her think she won. Because tomorrow, everything would change. The rest of the rehearsal dinner was uncomfortable. Marissa worked the room like she was the bride, posing for photos, laughing loudly, greeting guests she barely knew. People whispered. I caught fragments of conversations. Is that the actual wedding dress? Why would she wear white to a rehearsal dinner? This is so tacky. Even Karen looked uncomfortable. Dad kept shooting me apologetic looks, but he didn't say anything to Marissa. The officiant, a family friend named Pastor Matthews, made a joke during his toast. I've officiated a lot of weddings, but this is the first time I've seen 2 brides at the rehearsal dinner. Nervous laughter rippled through the room. Marissa's smile went tight. After dinner, as people were leaving, my aunt pulled me aside. "Sweetheart, are you okay?" That was incredibly inappropriate. "I'm fine, Aunt Marie." "Really? You're handling this with such grace." I would have lost it. "The wedding's tomorrow. That's what matters." She hugged me. "You're going to be a stunning bride. Don't let her ruin your day." "I won't." Because I'd already made sure she couldn't. That night, Noah and I stayed up late in our hotel room. "Are you sure about this?" he asked. "About what?" "Letting her come tomorrow. We could uninvite her. Tell your dad she crossed a line." I shook my head. That's what she wants. Drama. Attention. A reason to play the victim. "So what's your plan?" I smiled. "You'll see tomorrow." He studied my face. "You're way calmer than I expected." "Because I know how this ends. And it ends with her looking foolish, not me." He kissed my forehead. "I love you. And I love that you're handling this like a boss." "Love you too." I fell asleep easily that night. No anxiety. No fear. Just quiet confidence that tomorrow would be perfect. The morning of the wedding, Monica arrived at the bridal suite with her team at 7 a.m. Hair. Makeup. Final dress alterations. Everything ran like clockwork. When I finally put on the navy gown, my bridesmaids went silent. "Lena," Emma whispered. "You look like royalty." The dress fit perfectly. The crystals caught the light with every breath. The train pooled behind me like liquid midnight. I looked in the mirror and barely recognized myself. This wasn't sweet, quiet Lena who avoided conflict. This was someone powerful. Someone in control. Casey appeared beside me with a velvet box. Something borrowed. Inside was our grandmother's diamond necklace. Simple. Elegant. Perfect. Jules handed me the bouquet. Deep red roses mixed with white orchids and trailing ivy. "Ready?" Priya asked. I took a breath. Smiled. "Let's do this." Meanwhile, according to what Casey told me later, Marissa had shown up at the venue early. She wore the white dress again. Full bridal regalia. Veil and all. Monica had stationed ushers at the entrance with instructions. Every guest received a white silk scarf or boutonniere as they entered. "A gift from the bride," the ushers explained. The ballroom filled with people in white. Ivory suits. Pearl dresses. Champagne gowns. It looked ethereal. Like a dream. And Marissa, standing near the bar in her white dress, blended right in. She was no longer the standout. She was just another guest in white. Exactly as I'd planned. According to Casey, the moment Marissa realized what was happening, her face went pale. She looked around at the sea of white-dressed guests and understood. She wasn't special. She wasn't shocking. She was just part of the crowd. And then the music started. The doors to the ceremony space opened. My bridesmaids walked down the aisle first. Jewel tones blazing against the white-dressed guests. They looked like precious gems in a sea of pearls. Then the music shifted. The bridal march began. And I stepped into view. The collective gasp was audible. People rose to their feet. Cameras flashed. I walked down that aisle in midnight navy and crystals, and every eye in the room was on me. Not because I demanded attention, but because the dress, the colors, the contrast demanded it. Noah's face when he saw me was everything. His eyes went wide. His mouth fell open slightly. And then he smiled so big I thought his face might split. I reached the altar and took his hands. Pastor Matthews leaned in and whispered, "You look absolutely stunning." Behind me, I could hear whispers. "Oh my God, that dress. She's not wearing white? This is genius." I didn't look for Marissa. Didn't need to. I knew exactly where she was and exactly how she felt. Invisible. The ceremony was perfect. Noah and I exchanged vows we'd written ourselves. We laughed. We cried. We kissed while everyone cheered. The photographer captured everything. Later, when we saw the photos, there was one shot in particular that said everything. Me, radiant in navy, surrounded by my jewel-toned bridesmaids. And in the background, barely visible, Marissa in white, blending into the crowd of guests. The photographer asked if we wanted her cropped out. No, I said. Leave her in. Let her be seen exactly as she is. At the reception, as we were being introduced as husband and wife, the DJ made an announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, the bride would like to thank all of you for honoring her request to wear white tonight. As you can see, she had something else in mind for herself. Let's hear it for breaking traditions in the most stunning way possible. The room erupted in applause. People stood, cheered, raised their glasses. I caught Marissa's eye across the room. She was standing by a pillar, her face red, her expression mortified. I raised my glass to her. Smiled. She turned and walked away. My father found me during cocktail hour. Lena, I need to apologize. For what, Dad? For not taking you seriously when you told me about the dress. For not seeing what Marissa was doing. I looked at him. Really looked at him. He looked older suddenly. Tired. It's not your job to control her, Dad. But it is your job to see me. To believe me when I tell you something's wrong. He nodded. You're right. I'm sorry. I forgive you. But this is the last time I let something like this slide. I understand. We hugged. And for the first time in a long time, it felt genuine. The bouquet toss was my favorite moment of the night. All the single women gathered on the dance floor. Including Marissa, who'd changed into a regular dress by then, probably because she finally realized how ridiculous she looked. I turned my back to the crowd. Counted to 3. And threw. The bouquet sailed through the air in a perfect arc. Marissa jumped for it. Stretched. Reached. And missed by a mile. A 7-year-old flower girl caught it instead. The crowd went wild. People laughed, cheered, took photos. Marissa stood there empty-handed while a child held my bouquet above her head in triumph. The irony was not lost on anyone. The photos went viral. Not intentionally. One of the guests posted a picture on Facebook with the caption, "Bride wears navy while all guests wear white." Brilliant move. It got shared. Then shared again. Then picked up by a wedding blog. Then another. Within a week, we were trending on wedding Pinterest boards. Genius bride flips tradition by wearing color while guests wear white. How one bride handled her attention-seeking stepsister. The comments were overwhelmingly positive. This is such a power move. The navy dress is stunning. The stepsister must have been so embarrassed. Casey sent me screenshots daily. Each one more satisfying than the last. Marissa tried to save face on social media. She posted a photo of herself in the white dress with the caption, "Loved supporting my stepsister today." Matching vibes with the guests. She'd cropped the photo to hide my navy dress. Someone found the original photo and posted it in the comments with the full context. Within an hour, the post had hundreds of comments calling her out. You weren't supporting her. You were trying to upstage her. This is so embarrassing for you. The bride outsmarted you and you're still trying to spin it? She deleted the post. Then deleted all her wedding-related content. Then went silent for 3 weeks. Karen called me 2 days after the wedding. I almost didn't answer. Lena, we need to talk about what you did. What I did? You humiliated Marissa in front of everyone. You knew she was wearing white and you set her up to look foolish. I took a breath. Karen, I didn't tell Marissa to copy my wedding dress. I didn't tell her to wear it to my rehearsal dinner or my wedding. Those were her choices. You changed the dress code to white knowing she'd be wearing your dress. I changed the dress code because I wanted to. It's my wedding. I can ask guests to wear whatever I want. You did it to embarrass her. No. I did it because I wanted my wedding to look a certain way. If Marissa felt embarrassed, that's because she made choices specifically designed to take attention away from me and it backfired. That's not my fault. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. Marissa has spent years trying to compete with me, copy me, and overshadow me. This time, I didn't let her. If you can't see that, then I don't know what else to say. She sputtered. Your father is very disappointed in you. Dad already apologized to me. If he has something to say, he can call me himself. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but I felt lighter than I had in years. Noah and I went to Greece for our honeymoon. 2 weeks of sun, sea, and not thinking about wedding drama. On day 4, Monica texted me. FYI, your white dress code idea is blowing up. 3 brides copied it this past weekend. You started a trend. I showed Noah the message. He laughed. You know what the best part of this is? He said. What? Marissa will see other brides doing this and know she's the reason it became a thing. Every time she sees it, she'll remember. Good, I said. Let her remember. When we got back from our honeymoon, I received a letter in the mail. From Marissa. I almost threw it away without reading it. But curiosity won. Lena. I'm sorry for what I did at your wedding. I know you probably don't believe me, but I am. I got caught up in trying to be part of your special day and I took it too far. I hope one day you can forgive me. Love, Marissa. It was handwritten. Careful. Almost childlike in its simplicity. I read it twice. Then I put it in a drawer and didn't respond. Because forgiveness isn't about accepting an apology. It's about deciding whether someone has earned the right to stay in your life. And Marissa hadn't earned that yet. Maybe she never would. A year later, Noah and I renewed our vows in a private ceremony. Just us, our closest friends, and the family members who'd actually supported us. My dad came. My aunt. My sister. A few cousins. Karen and Marissa weren't invited. This time, I wore crimson. A bold, stunning red dress that made me feel like fire personified. No games. No drama. Just love and people who genuinely celebrated us. Afterward, Casey raised her glass. To Lena, who taught us all that the best revenge isn't loud or messy. It's just being so authentically yourself that no one can touch you. Everyone cheered. And I realized she was right. The dress code. The navy gown. All of it wasn't really about Marissa. It was about refusing to shrink myself to make someone else comfortable. It was about claiming my moment, my day, my life. And once you learn to do that, once you learn to own who you are without apology, no one can steal your shine. Not even if they show up wearing your dress. Today, Noah and I live in a house we bought together. We're talking about starting a family. Life is good. Simple. Drama-free. Marissa and I don't speak. We're cordial at family events, but there's no relationship there. Maybe there never really was. Dad has coffee with me once a month. We're rebuilding slowly. He's trying. That's enough for now. Karen still doesn't understand what she enabled for years. Probably never will. That's her loss, not mine. And my wedding? It's still being talked about. I get messages occasionally from brides asking about the white dress code. Asking how I had the courage to break tradition. I always tell them the same thing, it's your day. Do what makes you feel powerful. Because that's what I learned. Your wedding, your life, your moments, they're yours to design. And if someone tries to steal that from you, you don't have to scream or fight or cause a scene. You just have to be smarter, classier, more strategic. You have to know your worth. Claim your space. And let them watch while you shine so bright they can't help but fade into the background. Marissa thought she could outshine me by copying my dress. Instead, she taught me that I don't need anyone's permission to be the star of my own story. And honestly, I should probably thank her for that. Speech balloon, have you ever had someone try to hijack your special moment? Drop a comment below. Pushpin, tell us where you're watching from and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Bride with veil female sign, because the best revenge isn't loud, it's unforgettable. And it's always, always classy.